to Women's Biz Tribe Success Summit. I am so excited about the speakers that we've been having, sharing already in this summit, and those who are yet to come. Thank you so much for your engagement, on all of your amazing feedback and comments. I am absolutely loving this love bomb to women to say, you know what, girl, you just go there. You just put yourself out there. You'll start leveling up, challenge your mindset, believe that you can. And oh my gosh, the impossible is seriously possible. I'm now going to welcome to the virtual stage Babita Spinelli, who is one of my favorite ladies from the US. She is the CEO of Opening the Doors Psychotherapy and Embrace Coaching, where she provides a space for clients to explore what holds them back while challenging them to make changes that will help them to reach their goals. She has spent her life helping other people, as many of our speakers have. And I tell you what, she's super awesome because she first became a lawyer and then she went on to become a certified coach and a psychotherapist. Seriously, Babita has done it all. And she certainly also knows what it's like to struggle and therefore how to thrive and to move ahead of that. So we are going to be sharing via interview style some of her experiences today. Welcome to the summit, Babita.
Thank you so much, Annie. Such a pleasure to be here.
Oh, such a joy to have you in this space. I'm just going to launch right into it and ask you the whole topic of success. This is a success summit. What does success mean to you?
Yeah. Oh my. So I really, first want to preface this by saying that my success story and my success definition has evolved and changed over time, because I believe that is the case. We're always looking at success perhaps differently at different times in our life. When I worked as a lawyer and in corporate America, I defined my success based on maybe performance reviews, how I was leveraging my role, the way I was kind of moving up in the corporate ladder, the impact I was making in the organization, etc., how my managers saw me, those kinds of things. Now, as a business owner and entrepreneur, I define my success in the present with making an impact out in the world, making sure that I love and continue to love what I'm doing and how I'm making that impact and making a difference out in the world to the people that I work with, the organizations that I serve. To me, that is huge in terms of my success. But I also keep in mind that my success might change in terms of how I'm doing that. The modalities, the ways in which I am making a difference out there may change, but my core vision and what I want and what drives me is always going to be the same. And that's my success and my definition of success.
So it's very much clear in your mind, therefore, what are you trying to achieve? Who are you trying to be? What does it actually look like? What does it feel like? And then when you're doing that, so it's a constant driving force. This is what I'm hearing, to align to that, to be that person, to continue to lean into that person. And then I love it. Shows that you're a true leader in this space. It's actually about saying, and while I'm doing that and I'm happy in that, I actually want to be helping other people in that journey, right? To be able to give back. You mentioned the word give back. And I know that most people who are actually just owning their space talk about that. You actually want other people. It's like this, oh my gosh, I'd feel terrible if people didn't know what they could be achieving and what they could be doing. I want to help them.
Absolutely. And I think that's the part about that, as you're saying, is so relevant, because we could still be leaders, be successful, be driven, be financially secure, and still feel like you're making a difference out in the world. And that's how I feel about it. Everyone might have their own definition, which is why this summit exists. But for me, to make a difference out in the world while I'm still fulfilled and financially secure is very key. And the evolving nature part of it gives me flexibility. I can say, you know what, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, my version or my definition of success might be different. That is okay. What I like to do is I actually write my own press release and say 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, like what would that press release look like myself to kind of help me continue to clarify, is my definition of success the same?
Yes.
That's so key from my lens, Annie, because oftentimes women, we might get stuck in feeling like we had this story we told ourselves. This is what success looks like, but something's changed in our life. Maybe we're at a different place in our life. Maybe we're balancing being a parent and running our business or whatever it is that we're doing. And suddenly we feel like, wow, I'm a failure because my success definition is not right, like not being fulfilled. Well, it's okay if it is changed.
Exactly. And I know in a lot of your work, that's exactly what you're doing. You're helping people adapt to the change. We get very fixed in our mindset, and it's understandable, because if you want to do what worked before, or you want to, if you've worked hard to achieve something, you go, well, I worked really hard to achieve this. I want it to stay that way. And then suddenly things just change, and life, unfortunately or fortunately, has a habit of having change, and we've certainly all changed beyond what we ever imagined over the last couple of years. And so it's actually therefore helping people to go, well, okay, well, you're going to need a new definition of success. You're going to have a new way of achieving what you had before. And also the reality, as fellow moms and people who've gone through a lot of changes, like sometimes that actually changes. What you wanted before isn't actually what you want moving forward, right?
Exactly, yes. And give yourself permission to recognize that. And it's okay to lean in and then get more clear. What does that success version look like for you? It is, the reason why I think it is so important is when I think back on my trajectory, success was, I'm going to be a successful lawyer. Great.
Yeah.
Success is, I'm going to go into corporate America and be at a big 4 firm, and I'm going to reach all the way up to the top of that corporate ladder. Did it. Okay, now I want to work on Wall Street. I want to be a VP. I want to, run global policy. Did it. But then I didn't feel as, over time I realized, well, am I fulfilled? Am I really feeling happy? Maybe I'm successful, so to speak, but I'm not so sure that that's my definition of success. And so I realized I needed to do something about it. And I did, and it was a journey. I mean, there were obstacles and everything, but that's why I feel like with the people that I work with, and part of my message today is to say, it is okay to realize that you're changing and you could still be successful in whatever it is you're doing next. Just check in on, does this give you joy? Do you feel like this is like you're aligned with it?
Oh my goodness. For those of you who are joining in new to Women's Biz Tribe, this has actually amazingly shown you why my 3 words at Women's Biz Tribe are success, balance, and happiness. And a few people have said, why do you add balance and happiness? I go, because once you achieve success, the first time you go, oh my gosh, I've achieved what I wanted. Suddenly balance and happiness becomes a very, very big factor in future success. So I absolutely love that. What do you do to guide then female entrepreneurs? You work with a lot of female entrepreneurs. How do you guide them in their success journey?
Great question. So I'm going to first bring in my psychoanalytic hat, because I think this is really core when I work with female entrepreneurs. They tend to be high performers and high achievers, etc. And I like to go into history first, because what has gone on intergenerationally, what are stories, with the stories that we've been told, the experiences that we have. People call it baggage. I just call it necessary information. That is a great foundation in terms of guiding a female entrepreneur who might be feeling some challenges or struggling or wants to lean into being successful in their own right, is what might be holding you back? What do you think it is that's the resistance? Part of that foundational work is going into their history.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's intergenerational trauma, so that they might be in a more scarcity mindset because they've come from maybe parents that were Holocaust survivors. Sometimes it goes with maybe abandonment issues, so they're not quite sure whether or not they can lean in because there's a lot of fears. So I first set that foundation. Then from there, we kind of look at what are their self-limiting beliefs. Is there something that's also they feel not good enough? Where is that coming from? I look at their inner critic. We sort of hone in on that. Look at what are the fears that they may need to face in their journey. And then also looking at the perfectionist quality. There's healthy perfectionism, there's unhealthy perfectionism, and working through what does that mean, and how do we have healthy perfectionism, meaning you could be driven, you could be very meticulous, but maybe there's some parts that are very unhealthy that are holding them back in their journey that they feel that they can't maybe let go of. So I really like to do a lot of that foundational work. After that, Annie, part of my guidance is looking at what are the business models that inspire you and sort of helping them form what that business model is. If they're, entrepreneurs, who are the individuals that they look out to that they say, wow, I'm so inspired by that person. What do they do? How do they do it? But I like to curate with them, what's their version of that. So that's sort of part of the process when I work with a female entrepreneur. And then we sort of build from there. What do we need to do then using that model to get them to where they need to and want to be, and doing it in steps, realizing we can't do everything at once, and we will be more successful. We will achieve more results if we just look at one small, mighty step at a time to get to what that version is, and doing it in phases. So that's just a small snapshot. I mean, there's so much here when I work with female entrepreneurs around building confidence, around facing fears, around checking in on their own self-worth. A really important message that I like to give is for women, we tend to not give ourselves enough credit around our expertise and what we know. We tend to feel like we always have to prove ourselves. And there's actually data and research that shows that. And I really like to look at that to say, remember, you're an expert. And if you feel like you're not, then you'll learn it and be the expert. But let's check in on that part of you that constantly feels you have to prove yourself, and really just lean in and embrace what you are imparting.
Do you think that women suffer imposter syndrome more then? So from your experience, you're obviously working with men and women. I know that in my line of work, those women that are through the tribe, this issue of just not feeling enough, not feeling that we put ourselves forward, hold back, aren't as confident naturally. Is that just because I'm in that space hearing that, or is actually you being a professional in this space, do you actually feel that women struggle with this more, and why?
I do feel women struggle with it more. It's interesting because working with men and women, and I'm not saying that men don't come in with kind of something that's familiar like that as well, but I do see it more in women. And I do feel that, for women, it comes from a lot of the stories and messaging that has come from their histories. Women, what they should be doing, how they should be doing it. I think that superwoman quality is very powerful in the imposter syndrome, because if we as women, often feel like we should be running our households, being successful career individuals, if you're a parent, being the best, mom, then what's happening is we're feeling like something's missing or not good enough. And then we feel like imposters because we're not achieving the superwoman things that we've been told, that we should be doing it all and not giving ourselves enough credit. I think women's inner critics are also higher. And it goes back to the concept I was introducing, always feeling like we need to prove ourselves, the next step. I think for men, once they achieve, once they've had maybe experience in the workplace, they go into a job and they just go in as themselves.
I'm all good.
maybe they'll come to me and say, hey, I want to be a better leader. Hey, how do I bring in emotional intelligence? Hey, tell me how to strategize with my teams. I think often for women, they'll be like, I'm not feeling good enough. I'm feeling a little meek. I feel like I don't have my voice, but they're super successful, in their own right. And I think that's what tends to happen in the space more for women, and why.
Mm-hmm. What are the main obstacles to success that you feel that men and women, if you like, are really finding the biggest hurdles? When you look at them, people are going to come to you as a therapist to say, I want to actually just push through. I want to be more able. I want to feel more worthy. I want to, achieve the things that are on my heart, in my dreams. What are the biggest obstacles that you find that people are coming to? And then if you are able to, how do you help them break through those?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think some of them end up being some of the obstacles of the stories they come in with.
Mm-hmm.
There is that from their histories and from their past, they've been told who they should be and who they need to be. Maybe they've been like very high expectations that have come from their parents. They have been told that this is what success means. And if you don't follow it in that way, that you're not successful and you're a failure. So often the individuals that I work with their biggest obstacle is their story. I think their second biggest obstacle is because they're high achievers and high performers, they're often also at burnout. It goes back to what you said, finding that balance and perhaps realizing that they can actually do better, do more if that's what they want, achieve more happiness if they find more balance in their life. The individuals that I also work with, they might be struggling in other personal parts that are bleeding into their success as an entrepreneur. So they may be struggling in their personal relationships. Maybe they're unhappy in a relationship, or they're going through a divorce, or they need to sort of really optimize and look at their relationship differently, because the way that we show up at home, we're bringing into whatever we're doing professionally. So a lot of times the people that see me might also say, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about it, but I'm actually having a really hard time in my personal life. And that ends up being an obstacle. Maybe they're also not feeling supported by their partner, or they don't know how to connect to their partner. So now they're struggling in terms of feeling like they can be their best selves in their entrepreneur journey. But those are some of the obstacles, and the others are some of the things that I mentioned, like their limiting beliefs or their fears. And I think this is important, when someone comes into me and let's say they're a CEO of their own company or a CFO of their own company, a lot of times their struggle might end up being their balancing, feeling like they can be an effective leader, but actually being empathic and connecting to their own emotional intelligence for themselves and people that they want to serve. So they might also come to me for that as a huge obstacle. A lot of that work ends up being about, if you're deeply self-aware about yourself, if you could show yourself some empathy and understanding and connect with your feelings, you can actually do that better with your clients or the people that you're serving or the organizations that you're working with.
Oh, such a fascinating space that you work in, I tell you. I often find that also as a CEO, I've been a CEO for 12 years now, and often you're giving out a lot, constantly to your team, to the organization, to the business. And so you're busy, achieving, but don't spend that time sort of filling your own cup, looking after yourself, actually sort of suddenly thinking, am I even happy now? Am I enjoying this? I'm always giving out. And also with the rise of women becoming entrepreneurs, even over COVID, it can be quite lonely. It can be a lonely time, sort of when you suddenly, you've left those connections at work, suddenly running your own place, you're not feeling as comfortable or confident because you're suddenly, pushing those new areas of learning, right? Because you don't know how it all works, and it can become a very threatening space. Are you finding a lot of senior corporate type women suffering those sorts of issues in your space?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What a great point that you're bringing up. I think a few things. The entrepreneurship track can often be very lonely, and we have to, with more intention, make sure we stay connected to people, such as joining like the Women's Biz Tribe, joining a group or a mastermind. Those are so important. Attending conferences, whether it's virtually or in person, really forging those relationships, because it can be very lonely. Those spaces help to feel motivated and encouraged. You also don't feel so alone in your challenges. You're like, wow, it normalizes it. Oh my God, I'm not the only person that feels like I'm trying to do everything, things of that nature. I also feel that burnout is such a powerful space for entrepreneurs. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen when you're working at a corporation, but I think often there's a misnomer. People think, oh, entrepreneurs, you have your own business. There's so much flexibility. But we have to make sure we curate that, because part of having your own business sometimes is we don't know when to stop.
Yes.
And we just keep going. And especially if it's something you enjoy, you start to lose your balance. So I often say, and I do this for myself too, take a beat. Carve out moments in your day to take breaks. Carve out weekends to yourself. Set boundaries. You're going to be refreshed, and you're actually going to do better in your business if you do it. Don't think it's going to hold you back. Everything is not urgent. Entrepreneurship, often we think it's urgent. It's our business. We have to do it all. So the 3 pillars that I often say is, 1, you don't need to do it all. It's okay to let go and and see where you can delegate it. Number 1. Number 2, set your boundaries. And that means your internal boundaries within yourself. So take breaks, recharge. That's part of setting boundaries, saying to yourself, hey, I'm setting my own boundary. I'm shutting my laptop. I'm not, going to be working at this amount of time. I'm not working the weekend, things of that nature. That's the second one. And 3, those process checks. Do I still feel happy? Is this still giving me joy? And if not, what am I doing? What do I need to change? I see that as like the 3 pillars to just sort of in the process of entrepreneurship.
I'm so glad that you've reaffirmed those in this conversation, because that's exactly it. A lot of people sort of go, oh, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I can have laptop lifestyle and live, work anywhere I am and have all this time. I can then go to yoga and this and that, whatever. And yeah, that's the dream. But many times, particularly in those first few years, it can become suddenly, your laptop is right next to your bed. You're, in front of the TV, relationship time. It's really important to actually be able to realize, to be successful is to have that whole rounded picture and to take the breaks. It's amazing that when you think you can't and you suddenly do and go, oh my gosh, the world didn't fall down. I'm then more recharged. I can actually work better. I can be more efficient, effective. It certainly is amazing. It's been certainly the learning curve for me, for sure. And I know many others listening in. So let's just chat about too then, when you left law, your journey, you left becoming a lawyer, you achieved all your tick list as we started at the beginning of this conversation, and then you went, you know what, I'm going to become a hypnotherapist. What was happening there that made you have such a dramatic change? Because I know people listening in this summit will be thinking, I'm not actually feeling fulfilled. Maybe do I keep changing and molding what I'm doing, or have such a dramatic change? And why was it important for you?
Sure. I mean, for me, it was really quite a journey to get to the point of making the career switch. And that's so important, because I think what happens is, for women who want to move from what they're doing into maybe being an entrepreneur, they feel like it's a magic, sometimes that they feel pressure that it's this magic pill that they just switch it out and everything sometimes falls into place. And I really want to say, it is okay to realize that it can even be a mindset shift to go to that place to make the change. For me, it was a huge mindset shift. I didn't come from a background or a culture where you have worked so hard and gotten a law degree, and all of a sudden and on this trajectory, and suddenly you're like, I'm not really feeling happy. I want to do something else. I had to switch my mindset. I had to really think about what was happening for me. So part of that was seeing a therapist and a coach. I realized I needed to get help. And so I did that. And in that journey, I recognized there's some things that I need to do. And I think professionally, if I continue to be in this space, I will continue to live an unfulfilled life. So my therapist actually said, have you thought about being a psychotherapist? And it was like the floodgates, like the tears, opened up. And I said, wow, you know what? I love building relationships. I love understanding human psychology. Part of the things that I like to do in corporate America is being able to understand the human psyche and bring that into the work that I did to know how to navigate that space and be successful. I think I would like to do that. And so I made that decision. But Annie, it wasn't like I suddenly could just financially do it.
Yeah.
Work and then go into a program and do 5 years of clinical training and classes, but I did not let go of my job for a while. I couldn't. So I needed to realize that, and it was very difficult, but it was the best thing I ever did. Eventually, I did let go of that job. I did finish up. I formed my practice, and now I know we'll get to it. I now have a whole other consulting arm. I formed an entirely other business because it was the right time for me to also see what is my success journey. But it's a journey to make the switch. But I don't regret the journey of doing what I did. I don't regret going to law school. I don't regret being in corporate America because it has helped make me who I am. And I can resonate with the people that I see and that I work with because even though their story is unique, I have experienced it in some form.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, because those listening in, that's a really good learning to take on board. And I know I've done that. I was CEO for 12 years, started Women's Biz Tribe, and then spent a long time doing both, and then finally went full-time in Women's Biz Tribe. The same thing. Don't regret any of my experience. You bring it as just value to what you are now doing. So if you're in a space, don't think that, oh, this is lost space or what a shame I hadn't done. You're going to take all of that generic skill, learning, knowledge, and you're going to then be taking it with you on your next chapter, if you like. And there often is that overlap, right? And it's hard. It's very challenging when you're holding down a day job and then you're doing this side hustle, side passion type role. But then if it's important to you and you finally get there, it's so rewarding. It does make you feel that I can't believe I get paid for this kind of feeling. It's like, it's just joy.
Exactly. Seriously, I'm not just saying this, or I wake up every day and I just feel so grateful. Like, I can't believe I'm doing something that I love. And I have check-ins. I think we all need mentors. We need to feel that we can lean in on people, that we can have our tribe and our group, because we wake up every day saying, I can't believe it. I love what I do. It's nice to share it. It's nice to know that you've got a pod or a group of people that you can feel connected to, and mentors to help guide you. No matter how seasoned you are, no matter where you are, there's always going to be someone that you can say, hey, you know what? I love that you put this into your business. How do you do that? I'd love to do some changes in the way that I work. I'm ready for that, so that we continue to feel like we're growing as entrepreneurs as well.
So true. So true. I cannot believe we've actually run out of time already. We can just talk all day. Seriously amazing. For those of you listening in, definitely put your questions in the chat group, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are. Definitely reach out to Babita. I know she would be very, very happy to engage with you. Definitely you can find her at Babita Spinelli Group. babitaspinelli.com. So just go straight there. You can also reach her via Women's Biz Tribe. All of our speakers are members of Women's Biz Tribe and so approachable. So would love to chat to you, find out more of what you're doing. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'd love to just reach out to a psychotherapist, have just loved the conversation that we've had. I tell you what, Babita is just so wonderful, clear, supportive, empowering in all that she does. And I know her business is 100% online as well. So she's very easy to contact and find. Thank you so much for sharing at our summit this time, Babita. It's just been absolutely fabulous having you join us.
Thank you so much, Annie. Always love to see you and, have these really fruitful exchanges with you. Such a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic.